The scales of justice. For centuries, they have stood as a symbol of impartiality, fairness, and the principle that the law is blind. But right now, in the corridors of power, those scales are being placed under an unprecedented, searing spotlight. A dramatic and powerful political counteroffensive is unfolding, a move that raises profound questions about the weaponization of federal authority and the very independence of our nation's most critical legal institutions. At the turbulent center of this storm is the United States Attorney General Pam Bondi and a Department of Justice that has initiated a sweeping investigation against one of the most prominent state officials in the country, New York Attorney General Letitia James. To understand how we got here, we have to go back. For years, New York Attorney General Letitia James has been a relentless, headline-grabbing force, often placing herself in direct opposition to President Donald Trump. This wasn't just a part of her job. She made it the cornerstone of her political identity. During her campaign, she made a public vow to challenge him, declaring her intent to, quote, use every area of the law to investigate President Trump and his business transactions and that of his family as well. End quote. This promise culminated in a monumental civil fraud lawsuit. The suit accused Trump and his companies of a decade of widespread fraudulent practices, specifically inflating property values to secure favorable loans and insurance terms while simultaneously deflating them to reduce tax burdens. Drawing in part from information provided by former Trump attorney Michael Cohen during his congressional testimony, the legal battle became a national spectacle. It ultimately resulted in a staggering court judgment against the Trump organization, reportedly exceeding $450 million. For Trump's opponents, it was a landmark victory, a moment when, as they saw it, James had successfully held him accountable for his alleged lying and fraudulent ways. Now, in a stunning reversal, the tables have turned. Sources with knowledge of the situation have confirmed that the Department of Justice, under the leadership of Attorney General Pam Bondi, has launched a formal, multi-pronged investigation against Attorney General Letitia James and her office. This move is widely interpreted as a direct counteroffensive. Critics are calling it a retaliatory action driven by President Trump's long-held grievances. As one political commentator bluntly put it, Donald Trump is mad he got his ass kicked by Letitia James, and so now he's targeting her. That's what we're dealing with. From the perspective of the Trump administration, however, it's simply a case of turnabout is fair play. So what exactly is the DOJ looking into? The probe against James is multifaceted, focusing on several serious allegations. First, there are claims of mortgage fraud. Sources indicate that federal investigators are delving into allegations that James herself misrepresented facts on personal mortgage applications. This includes a shocking claim that back in 1983, she allegedly listed her own father as her husband on a mortgage application. Furthermore, the probe is examining a property she purchased in the 2000s, where she is accused of misrepresenting the number of units, claiming it had 1 or 4 units for refinancing purposes, when its official certificate of occupancy reportedly indicated it was a 5-unit dwelling. For any citizen, such misrepresentations could constitute a federal offense. For the chief law enforcement officer of a state, they are career-threatening. But secondly, and perhaps more controversially, is the charge of deprivation of rights under color of law. In plain language, this federal statute makes it a crime for someone acting in an official capacity, like a prosecutor, to willfully violate another person's constitutional or legal rights. The Department of Justice, led by Bondi, reportedly believes James may have violated Donald Trump's First Amendment rights of free speech. Legal analysts suggest that James's own public statements and campaign promises to specifically target Trump could be used as evidence of a predetermined intent to deprive him, and by extension his voters, of their civil rights, regardless of the evidence. And the scope of this federal investigation doesn't stop with the Trump civil case. Attorney General Pam Bondi is also reportedly pursuing a criminal investigation into James's legal actions against the National Rifle Association. In 2020, James filed a lawsuit to dissolve the NRA, alleging widespread fraud and financial misconduct by its leadership. While a New York jury later found the NRA had indeed mismanaged funds, this new DOJ probe suggests a different motive, that James may have instigated the state action with the sole purpose of violating the NRA's First Amendment rights of association and its Second Amendment advocacy rights. Federal subpoenas have reportedly been issued demanding access to all internal documents, communications, and emails related to that lawsuit. And these investigations are not just theoretical, they are backed by the formidable power of a federal grand jury. Subpoenas have already been sent to James's office requesting an exhaustive collection of documents. And a grand jury investigation is currently underway in Albany, New York. It's critical to understand that a grand jury does not determine guilt or innocence. Its sole purpose is to hear preliminary evidence and decide if there is probable cause to issue an indictment, which formally brings criminal charges. Now, here's where this becomes a game of high-stakes legal chess. The grand jury is being drawn from a jury pool in Albany, which has a decidedly strong Democratic political makeup. As of February 2025, Albany County's voter enrollment shows a staggering Democratic advantage of over 101,000 active registered Democrats to just 37,000 Republicans. This imbalance has led to intense speculation about the impartiality of any potential jury. Cynics might observe that securing an indictment against a popular Democratic official in such a politically skewed environment could be an impossible uphill battle, no matter how the facts are presented. Some legal insiders suggest that if the Albany grand jury fails to indict, the DOJ might pursue alternate venues to press charges. In fact, there are whispers of a separate grand jury investigation concerning James's mortgage that could be convened in the Eastern District of Virginia, signaling a potentially broader two-front legal war. This unprecedented legal action is being spearheaded by Attorney General Pam Bondi herself, who has reportedly signed off on every step of the probe. Furthermore, Ed Martin has been appointed as a special prosecutor to investigate both Letitia James and another Trump adversary, Adam Schiff, for alleged mortgage fraud. Martin's appointment is highly controversial, given his history of Stop the Steal activism and a disciplinary probe that threatened his own law license in 2025. This signals what many see as a high-stakes political counteroffensive by the Trump administration. Adding another explosive layer to this narrative, key members of Donald Trump's former legal defense team now hold powerful positions within the Department of Justice. Todd Blanche is serving as the Deputy Attorney General. D. John Sauer is the Solicitor General of the United States. Emil Bovee is a United States Circuit Judge. These are the very individuals who defended President Trump, and they are now part of the department investigating his chief legal adversary, a development that Pam Bondi herself has praised as making great things happen at the DOJ. This brings us to the core debate, the weaponization of the Department of Justice. Critics argue with fury that this administration is overtly using federal law enforcement as a tool for political retribution, systematically targeting perceived enemies and political detractors. The DOJ has historically been guarded as an independent agency, insulated from the direct political influence of the president. This investigation, however, sparks deep concerns that it is now simply doing the president's bidding. One commentator stated starkly, "Nobody has weaponized the DOJ and the federal government like Donald Trump the first time and now this time. They are gross, disrespectful, shameful hypocrites." Others have likened the strategy to a criminal enterprise or stuff you see in a totalitarian dictatorship. From the administration's standpoint, however, this is simply about the equal application of the rule of law. Their supporters assert that nobody is above the law and that if Letitia James acted as a politicized prosecutor who takes politics into account, she must now face the consequences. They contend that she knew so much about the law in terms of how to go after President Trump because, as they allege, she was the fraudster, not President Trump. For her part, Attorney General Letitia James is not backing down. Faced with these attacks, she has responded with a defiant and fiery public message. Emphatically, "Donald, I ain't scared of your ass. My mission is clear.
I'm focused. I'm prepared. I'm ready. I've been trained by the best. I went to Howard University that overturned legal segregation in this country. I've been taught in those classrooms where Thurgood Marshall once taught. I'm not afraid of no President Donald Trump. We're ready for you. We're coming for you. We're standing up for you. We're fighting on. We're not going down silent. Victory, my friends, is clear. It's now, and I'm not waiting 4 years. I'm waiting 2. Until a speaker by the name of Hakeem Jeffries comes to bring us some rest. Come on, ladies. It's up to us. We saved this democracy before. We'll save it now. This is not an isolated incident. Observers are drawing direct parallels between the investigation into James and a simultaneous federal probe into California Senator Adam Schiff, another of Donald Trump's most vocal critics. Schiff is facing strikingly similar allegations of mortgage fraud. Furthermore, a whistleblower has reportedly come forward with thousands of pages of evidence alleging